Dr. Assam, good evening. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good, I'm good. So I was thinking, I've been asking a lot of people, and they seem to not know what this whole direct primary care, concierge medicine thing is. I try to convince them, but I thought it was a good idea to hear from the expert, the person that knows it best. So it's okay to ask you a few questions.
I don't know if I'm the expert, but okay.
Okay,
Yes, no
okay.
problem.
Okay. So before I ask you that, why medicine? Like, especially why family medicine?
Okay, so why medicine? So for me, this started as early as 7 years of age. I was 7 when I decided I wanted to be a doctor. And that was because my dad, who also happens to be a doctor, was in a really bad car accident in Cameroon. And the healthcare infrastructure at the time just couldn't meet the needs he had for his healthcare. He had some injuries to his skull, to his back, at the neck level and the spinal cord level. So he ended up being medically evacuated for 4 months. And so from a very early age, it showed me the inadequacies in the healthcare system. I always knew I wanted to help people, but I decided from that moment on that this was exactly how I wanted to help people. And then along the years, I ended up liking science, stuck with it, was very clear about what I wanted to do. But why family medicine? Actually wasn't the plan. I was on my way to do plastic surgery. I had done all of my preparation for plastic surgery, my research, all my mentors were in plastic surgery. And then I did a master's of public health between my third and fourth years of medical school at Johns Hopkins. And that year really shaped or changed my mind about a lot of things. I really started to think of population level care, population level impact, and family medicine. By the time I came back into clinical medicine after that year, family medicine was the closest thing I knew to public health. And so that pretty much helps me change my mind. I'm actually glad I did because my mentor, I tried to point it out to me and say, hey, you might want to pay attention to this. You're really good at, talking to people, especially when they have like challenging circumstances going on. But I was so fixed on surgery. But now looking back, it really was for the best because I love the fact that I see patients of all ages, all genders. We call it birth to grave, really, because we can take care of everyone. And so, yeah, I love the field.
Right, right. Yeah, I agree. A lot of family medicine ties in with population health. A lot of what we do is we take the data and we try to get ahead of things. So, and it's a very compelling story of why you got into family medicine.
Oh, thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, but I had another question. I see you started your own concierge practice called Rophe MD. Why did you feel the need to start this practice?
Um, okay, so I always knew I would kind of want to do my own thing. I kind of, I decided I wanted to be a doctor when I was 7. I had my first business when I was 8. So I've always been in some way, shape, or form involved in business. But growing up in Cameroon and getting to see what medical care was like there, I saw, thankfully, I had a very close example through my dad, but I really got to see what it looked like to be a doctor who was involved with the community. Everybody knew his name. It wasn't like after 7 o'clock, that's it, don't talk to me. It wasn't like that. Or actually, people would even come to the house for consultations. And so that was the view of medicine I always had. I always saw it as bigger than, it's really not about a paycheck at all. To be honest, it's too much work for a paycheck. But um, I always saw it as a very noble field, and I always thought that the way I would want to do things would probably be best suited for my own setting, my own setup. Now, I decided to go this route with setting up Rophe in particular and with the model we have, because now after learning through public health and through clinical medicine about the healthcare system in America, it's quite limited by insurance, unfortunately. It limits the amount of time that doctors can spend with patients and that patients can spend with their doctors. There are very long wait times involved. There's a lot of overcrowding happening, and the quality of care, I just truly believe, can be better. You know, I also really love looking at a person holistically, body, soul, and spirit, and not missing any of those. And I felt like when I want in the kind of practice I would ever want to serve or do, I wanted to make sure that I was always bringing my very best to my patients, not feeling like I was rushing, not feeling like I was trying to abide by some, you know, checklist to get paid by an insurance company, but really focusing in on the person who was sitting in front of me. And so it came sooner than I expected. You know, I thought that maybe I would start several years after completing my residency, but the doors opened and here we are. We're growing gradually, but it's been very, very fulfilling to be able to do this.
Wow, Rophe MD, and very early in your career too, which is very, very, very impressive. And entrepreneurship since 8 years old. That's amazing. Um, I know you've had several years of experience. One thing I like to always know, and I think people out there probably like to know this too, but like what is a memorable patient encounter? What is one moment that made you believe like this is why I want to do medicine? This is why I wake up for this every day.
Mm. Oh, that's such a good question. And there have been so many really great patient encounters. But actually, just last week, I had a patient encounter at Rophe, and this was one of my relatively new clients. I had done her initial intake, and pretty much we decided that she needed to get an ultrasound of her breast done. She had had a really bad experience when she had last gotten an ultrasound a little over 3 years ago. But as I was establishing care, I felt the best next step would just be to check and kind of see if anything has changed, or if things were still stable since her last visit, or not with me, but you know, with the previous doctor. So she had mentioned to me that she had had a bad experience, unfortunately, when she went to get the ultrasound done and was very hesitant about going again. And so I asked her if she would feel a bit more comfortable if I actually came with her to get the ultrasound done. And she was very agreeable to that. So we went together last week, got the ultrasound done. It was great news, nothing to worry about, which is exactly what I had suspected, but you know, wanted to make sure I did my due diligence. And the great thing was after the fact, she told me, she was like, I honestly wouldn't have gone, you know, if you didn't come with me, because she said she would have been so scared to be able to do that. But to have the ability to go the extra mile, to have the flexibility to go the extra mile, I met the radiologist. And so he was speaking to me, just colleague to colleague. He was like, you're her primary care doctor? I was like, yes. And he was like, are you family? I was like, no. It's like she just wanted her doctor to come with her to the appointment. And he was like, wow, you're dedicated. But I just felt like this is what it should be. This is what it should be like. And so that felt great. It felt very fulfilling. And I'm grateful that, you know, with the way we've set up the practice, it's possible to do things like that. Just go the extra mile for people.
Wow, amazing story there. I love hearing stories like that, and I'm pretty sure people out there love hearing like those encounters that make you understand what like or remember why you do medicine.
Yes.
Um, so I have one last question for you, and I'm always curious to know this. If you could give me one fun fact about you, what would that be?
Um, Okay, one fun fact would be I like to DIY stuff. So I like making anything this from scratch if possible. And so I make all natural skincare products. Like that's one fun fact. I started during the pandemic as like a hobby, and then now it's actually turned into a business. So that is one fun fact about me.
Wow, wow, cool stuff. Well, what are the name of your products and where can people
Oh,
get them?
yes. So it's called Rophe Beauty. Go figure. But yes, so it's called Rophe Beauty, and we have a lot of really great conversations around beauty in addition to offering the skincare products. So we are on Instagram, and I will be sharing some content to my personal YouTube page about that as well. But yeah, if you would like to order, please, we will probably put the link below, and then you can also order through our social media platforms.
Oh, sounds good. I might get me like check out the website, maybe see if there's something for me.
Yes, yes. Believe it or not, actually, I have a lot of like guys as clients, and they're actually the most loyal, I would say. It's like they find a
Yeah,
product and then they just stick to it.
we're not that picky. Yeah, if you gave me something, I've been using the same lotion since I was like 10 years old.
Oh
So
wow.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Yes. So yes, so check out Rophe Beauty.
Beauty. Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Sam, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm based in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. If you are looking for a primary care doctor, I would love to serve you. Thank you again for having me.
Yes, thank you.